Okay, Chris, what you got for us? We don't take no nonsense. What's wrong with you? Talk! What's up, people? Another beautiful day or night. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good. What? What's up, gamers? Okay, Sony, you got to create your own Call of Duty. You got to create your own Call of Duty. Oh yeah, but you did have a Call of Duty. You had 3 of them. You had Killzone. You had Resistance. You had SOCOM. So how comes you guys weren't consistent as Activision? Look, the reason why Activision is so successful with Call of Duty. It's just like Sega with Sonic. Consistency. Nintendo with Mario. Consistency. So Activision, they mastered the formula. Consistency. It's Call of Duty 1, Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 3. Then there's World at War, Modern Warfare 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, right? Then there's Black Ops. Then there's Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4. Then there's Advance, right? Then there's Ghost. Consistency, you know what I'm saying? Consistency means success. That's how Activision got so successful with Call of Duty. They were consistent. Even when they fired even when they let go of Weston Zampella from Activision. I mean, Weston Zampella went over to EA and they farmed Respawn. So the question is now, okay, was Activision wrong for firing those two, for letting them go? Because based on the success of Call of Duty, maybe Weston Zampella was holding up the progress, so they had to let him go. Just saying. But the reason why Call of Duty is so successful is because Activision kept their foot on the gas and they kept going, right? So right after they come out with where did I stop at? Ghost and Advance. Then came Infinite Warfare. Then they remake Modern Warfare 4. Then they dropped another World War II shooter on us. Call of Duty World War II. Enemy bomb, come and get to cover. Run. Or get out of there. You know what I'm saying? So, then they dropped, then they stumbled upon Warzone. So now Call of Duty now is what? A two-headed monster. Okay? I got the Battle Royale called Warzone. And then I have Call of Duty with the multiplayer, the single player, and the story. So when I release a Call of Duty, I'm going to send both games at you all at once. And you're going to have to deal with it. It's called consistency. Right? Then they had what was that? Vanguard. Then Black Ops Cold War. Then Modern Warfare. Then they made another Modern Warfare again. It's called consistency. So just like Nintendo with Mario and Sega with Sonic, Activision has been what? Consistent. They never take their foot off the gas, and all those Call of Duty got a user base to it. Got a nice little user base to it. And then Warzone, that's a whole different animal. Got a user base. So yeah, or better yet, Call of Duty could be a 3-headed monster. You could take, okay, you got Call of Duty with the multiplayer story and single player, right? All right. Then you got Warzone. Warzone could be broken off into 2. So now Call of Duty is a 3-headed monster. Okay. What I mean is this. Let's say you got an Xbox One and PS4, right? If you got an Xbox One and PS4, but then, they should have let you play the old maps, the old Warzone from since Warzone started, right? But then when it comes to the Xbox One, PS4, I mean the Xbox Series X, PS5, then you can play Warzone 2.0. So Call of Duty could be a 3-headed monster. That's how big Call of Duty is, and that user base is big. So Activision has always been consistent, just like Nintendo with Mario, just like Sega with Sonic. Consistency, and they never took their foot off the gas. So that's what Sony should have done when it come to SOCOM, Killzone, and Resistance. stay consistent. You know, and you know the story with that. But anyway, let me get into this article here. Listen to this. What do we got here? Got two articles here. One from Eurogamer. It says Microsoft to tell the UK's CMA Sony could create a Call of Duty competitor in 10 years. And then they say God of Warzone. The other one is this. This one from gamingbible.co.uk. They use a character from The Simpsons. They said this. Let me see if I can get it here. It says here, Xbox say PlayStation should just make its own Call of Duty. Then they show the Simpsons character. My goodness, what an idea! Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, but they had a Call of Duty. It's called SOCOM. They weren't consistent like Activision is with Call of Duty. Sony wasn't as consistent with SOCOM like Activision is with Call of Duty. And that's the name of the game, is consistency. That's why Mario got so big. That's why Sonic got so big. Consistency. And consistency means success. Anyway, alright, which article to start off with here? Let's see here. What do we got? Pick one. Alright. Microsoft tell the UK Sony could create Call of Duty competitor in 10 years. God of Warzone. Anyway, says here, let me get into this here. So I can knock this out real quick. Oh, here we go. Now let's roll. Says here, in a heavily redacted response to the UK Competition and Market Authority relating to its proposed 69 billion USD acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Microsoft has insisted Sony would be able to create its own Call of Duty alternative within the space of 10 years. But here's the problem. They had a Call of Duty. They had three of them. Killzone, SOCOM, Resistance. Anyway, says here, Microsoft newly published document has been submitted in response to the CMA recent remedies hearing, discussing stipulation the regulators may insist upon before it's prepared to approve the deal. And while much has been redacted, is prominently present Microsoft argument around why it proposed 10-year deal with Sony to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, and its signed agreement with Nvidia should it be sufficient to satisfy the CMA concern. Among all this, though, is the nugget from Microsoft that 10 years should be ample time for Sony to whip up a Call of Duty competitor of its own. They had one, SOCOM. Anyway, they said while glossing over the rather obvious fact, Activision shooter had over 20 years to build the kind of brand recognition that turned it into a juggernaut gaming franchise it is today. It is called consistency. Activision has been consistent with Call of Duty. Even when they let go of our Weston Zampella, that's over at our who went and formed Respawn Entertainment, Activision kept moving. It's called consistency. You got to be consistent in this world. Anyway, it says here, Microsoft considers that a period of 10 years is sufficient for Sony as leading publisher and console platform to develop alternative to COD. They had SOCOM, they had Resistance, they had Killzone, and we're going to throw Battlefield in that too. Anyway, says here, the company tells the CMA the 10-year term will extend into the next console generation, redacted. Moreover, it adds the practical effect of the remedy will go beyond the 10-year period, since games download in the final year of the remedy can continue to be played for the lifetime of the console. And then it says in parentheses, and beyond with backwards compatibility. It is of course tempting to read that as a tactic admission. Microsoft is indeed planning to whisk Call of Duty away for an eternity of Xbox exclusivity once the 10-year is through, but quickly followed up by once again insisting such a move wouldn't make sense. COD is an entertainment franchise which is already nearly 20 years old. It writes, and then it says redacted, Microsoft will need to secure the broadest distribution of the franchise and will be heavily incentivized to keep it on the PlayStation platform. Redacted. Microsoft considered that having maintained COD on PlayStation and grown its player base on Nintendo, GeForce Now, and other cloud gaming platforms for a decade, it will have no incentive or indeed ability to take COD exclusively. See, Call of Duty is going to be like Minecraft. You see like how Minecraft is on every platform? That's what COD is going to be. Anyway, the CMA is set to announce its decision on Microsoft preceding Activision Blizzard buyout on April 26, with the EU, which is currently seeking feedbacks from rival and customers, will now finalize its decision on 22nd May. Microsoft recently won the ability to examine a treasure trove of internet documents from with Sony to help its ongoing case with the FTC. And it's that. Now, let me get through this other article here. This one from gamingbible.co.uk. Xbox says PlayStation should just make its own Call of Duty. And then they use The Simpsons. Says here, the modern day console war continues as Microsoft and Sony carries on bickering during the discussion that will ultimately determine whether acquiring Activision Blizzard would give Microsoft an unfair market advantage. To be fair, Sony, you can't really blame the company for being just a little concerned about Microsoft's plan. If the acquisition goes through, Xbox will own the Call of Duty IP, and despite Xbox boss Phil Spencer reiterating multiple times that the franchise won't be turned into an Xbox exclusive, Sony isn't comfortable at all. Previously, Sony stated that it thinks Call of Duty is an essential game, a blockbuster AAA title game that has no rival. Yeah, it's called consistency. You have to be consistent in this game. Anyway, it says, with that in mind, I can't imagine that Sony will be particularly happy with Microsoft's recent statement to regulators in which it suggests PlayStation should just make its own alternative to COD. As reported by VGC, a new document revealed that Microsoft believes 10 years is plenty of time for Sony to make itself some new rival games. Then it says here, let me knock this out real quick. 3 paragraphs, let me knock this out. It says here, as the remedies hearing the competition and market authorities asked Microsoft if the 10-year duration is sufficient and whether there will be a cliff edge for Sony at the end of this period. The 10-year period is redacted. Microsoft wrote in the document, Microsoft considered that a 10-year is sufficient for Sony as leading publisher and console platform to develop alternative to COD. Of course, there's Gearbox. Let's not forget about them with Brothers in Arms. But anyway, it says 10 years term will extend into the next console generation. Redacted. It continues. Moreover, the practical effect of the remedy will go beyond the 10-year period, since games download in the final year of remedy can continue to be played for the lifetime of that console. Then it says in parentheses, and beyond with backwards compatibility. Again, it doesn't seem like Sony will take this advice. Previously, the company said Call of Duty is not replicable. Call of Duty is too entrenched for any rival, no matter how well equipped, to catch up. It's also specifically called out EA Battlefield franchise as an example of a series that just cannot keep up with COD. Consistency. Anyway, ouch. It says it remains to be seen if Microsoft buyout of Activision will actually go through. We'll have to watch this space as the CMA final report on the deal is reportedly due on April 26. Alright, that's the end of the article. So look, the reason why Call of Duty is so successful, it is consistency. Just like how Nintendo is with Mario, and just like how Sega is with Sonic, it is consistency. Just like how Square is with Final Fantasy, the name of the game is consistency. You have to be consistent in this game. And that's why Call of Duty is so successful. And if EA would have applied the same principle to Battlefield, they would have success. So to me, Sony's trying to act like they don't have an alternative, like they don't have Battlefield, like they don't have Brothers in Arms from Gearbox, and Gearbox need to step their game up, by the way. And then they have Resistance, Killzone and SOCOM. Sony got shooters that can rival Call of Duty, but in order for those shooters to get to the level of Call of Duty, they have to be consistent, and that's the name of the game. So Sony sitting here complaining. To me, they're just making it. They're just making up all kind of excuses. They're mad because the contract expires in 2024. But then they're also mad that Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, which Sony, they had a chance to do it, but they didn't do anything. They probably didn't think the problem wasn't serious. But when Facebook name came up in the equation, now it became a problem. So Activision Blizzard, is up for grabs, and there's some big name out there with big pockets. Nintendo is one of them. Sony is one of them too. Take-Two, Tencent, Google, Amazon. Valve could have gotten Activision Blizzard if they wanted to, and then there's Microsoft. So, Activision Blizzard is just sitting out there in the open, and it's on a first come first served basis. Okay, which one of you guys are going to spend money for Activision Blizzard? Put your money where your mouth at. You know what I'm saying? And Microsoft put the pedal to the metal and said, got him. So yeah, Activision Blizzard was up for grabs, man, and Sony should have really investigated that situation and look a little deeper and see what was going on here. Once Facebook names pops up, Sony's antenna should have went up like, what? Like, wait a minute, Facebook? Okay, you know what? How much you selling Activision Blizzard for? What, 70 billion? Oh, we got the capital. Done. That's what Sony should have done, but they didn't. They didn't think it was that serious. But not Microsoft. Like I said, there's some players out there with big pockets. Microsoft beat everybody to the punch. Activision Blizzard, really? Candy Crush, Diablo, StarCraft, World of Warcraft, and of course, Call of Duty. Like, hey, we need to jump on this. What y'all think? Okay, what y'all think? Should we get in? Okay, go now and take some money with you. Deal is done. So yeah, Call of Duty was up for grabs. So anybody could have gotten Call of Duty. Anybody with big pockets. And Tencent, they got money. Let's not kid ourselves here. Take-Two got money. Google has money. Amazon got money. Okay, which one of y'all gonna get Activision Blizzard? We're talking Activision Blizzard here. We're talking Candy Crush. We're talking Diablo. We're talking World of Warcraft. Okay, we're talking StarCraft. And of course, that two-headed monster, or would I say three-headed monster, Call of Duty. Just saying. Okay, which one of y'all gonna spend some money? Come on, talk to me. We're playing poker right now. Show me what you got. So yeah, Activision Blizzard was up for grab, but Microsoft beat everybody to the punch. So when Microsoft says Sony can make their own Call of Duty, they had a Call of Duty. It's called SOCOM. It's called Killzone. It's called Resistance. And they just weren't as consistent, or they didn't have no drive or no ambition or no motivation to stay consistent like how Activision was with Call of Duty. Bottom line, it's called consistency. So you got to be consistent in this video game industry. Nintendo was consistent with Mario, Sega with Sonic, Square with Final Fantasy. Consistency. And that's how Call of Duty got big. Every time they came out with a game, the base is like this. It's growing big. Then Call of Duty splits into two now. You got Call of Duty with the story, multiplayer, and single player, right? But then I got Warzone, and I got a huge base for both games. Oh yeah, and I'm throwing both of them right at you every time I come out with a Call of Duty. So yeah, you got to be consistent in this video game industry, man. So yeah, they Activision Blizzard was just consistent. They never took their foot off the gas. Even when they let go of Weston Zampella. Weston Zampella went over to EA and formed Respawn Entertainment. Now, if you look at Titanfall and you look at Apex Legends, and you look at Activision with Call of Duty, who was more consistent? The name of the game is consistency, man. Consistency. Yeah. So that's why Call of Duty got so big. Call of Duty 1, the base is like this. Call of Duty 2, base got bigger. Call of Duty 3, base got bigger. Call of Duty World at War, base got bigger. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, base got bigger. Modern Warfare 2, the base is like this. Modern Warfare 3, the base is like this. And it just kept going and going and going. Yeah. Consistency, man. So, yeah. Microsoft just beat everybody to the punch with this. That's all it came down to. You know, there's some big companies out there with big pockets. Okay. Activision Blizzard is up for grab. We're talking Activision Blizzard here. We're talking Call of Duty with Warzone, right? We're talking Candy Crush. We're talking Diablo. We're talking StarCraft. And that got a user base. That game got a user base. And of course, World of Warcraft. Okay, which one of you guys got money to spend, man? Come on, pay up. Okay, Activision is in the middle. They're injured. They're wounded. Okay, who's going to be the first to grab him? Is it Tencent? Is it Take-Two? Is it Amazon? Is it Google? Who? Microsoft said, you're mine. and it's done, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. We're talking Activision Blizzard, man. They're up for grabs, man. So, first come, first serve, man. So, Sony sitting there crying. You had a chance to grab Activision Blizzard. You didn't do anything. You know, you didn't go investigate the situation, see what's really going on here. Why are you guys having all this problem? Oh, the company's for sale. Really? Any bidders? Well, we had Facebook, but they weren't interested. Really? How much were you selling it for? About 70 billion tops. Really? 70 billion? Okay. You know what? We'll pay for it. That's how Sony should have been. But they didn't see it. But Microsoft did. First come, first serve, and beat everybody to it. So when it comes to this Activision Blizzard situation, Activision Blizzard was up for grabs. So Sony runs to the CMA, UK regulators, asking for help. The FTC jump in. They filed the case, but they didn't even have a case. So now they're asking Microsoft for info. Microsoft give them info. Now they're saying, "Oh, you're not being transparent enough." Oh, really? Okay. You want to bill your case because you don't have one. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So Microsoft just beat everybody to the punch with this, man. That's all this comes down to. But the reason why Call of Duty is so consistent, I mean so successful, is so successful, is because they were consistent. Just like Nintendo with Mario, just like Square with Final Fantasy, just like Sega with Sonic. The name of the game is consistency. Anyway, leave this video for y'all to enjoy it. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek fan. Board, dark side. Go. Peace.